Hello and welcome. You are watching Ask BQ on Bloomberg Quint. I am Agam Vakil and with me is Alex Matthew. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Agam. Well, if you've got questions on equity, you can send them to us on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube and WhatsApp. You can also call us on 022-454-04141 or you can mail us on askbq@bloombergquint.com. Just make sure to add the AskBQ hashtag.
All right, but before we get in our individual queries, here's a quick look at how the Indian markets are faring right now. There is a little bit of weakness, there's no doubt about that. As far as the Nifty is concerned, Nifty and the Sensex, well, we are keeping an eye, we're looking at marginal declines and we certainly have seen a little bit of a recovery considering there was a lot more weakness earlier in the morning. To move and take a look at how your other markets, how the other indices are doing. Of course, the mid-cap and the small-cap indices are advancing, outperforming, if I can call it that, considering they are both trending in the green. Let's take a look at, some of the other factors too. So if we could actually bring out the contributors, there you have it. We're not looking at much pressure except for Titan Company, which of course, is under pressure because of its quarterly update, and TCS is very weak ahead of earnings. But if we leave that aside, we're looking at, a largely balanced out moves as far as your markets are concerned. Let's bring out the Nifty 500 gainers and losers, and that'll give you a better idea of how the markets are panning out. So in terms of the Nifty 500 gainers, we have something like a Religare, a Sun Pharma, an SJVN, all advancing in trade, followed by Oil India. Of course, JP Associates is a penny stock. If you disregard that, you also have a lot of traction in NLC India. In terms of losers, Titan Company, of course, losing out, and we also have a lot of weakness in REC. REC, remember, is very, very active in of course, the FNO space. Diwan Housing Finance were taking a knock of 9% again. Jet Airways and Cox & Kings, along with Manswas and Beverages, actually among the usual suspects. All three of them locked in a lower circuit of 5%. So on the whole, it's turning out to be, we've seen a little bit of recovery of late. And that's what we have in terms of the markets for now, Alex.
All right. Well, let's get our two experts in. Rather, they're already in. They're sitting right next to me. Kalra of Target Investing and Aditya Agarwala of Yes Securities are here to answer all of your questions. Welcome to the show, gentlemen. I want to take you through the picks that they have for you, the technical picks. Of course, Aditya has sent them in. He's said that you can buy Ipca Labs with a target of 1,030 at the current market price with a stop loss of 915 rupees on this trade. The stock is trading just about 950, above 950. He's also saying that you can consider buying Canfin Homes with a target of 385 and a stop loss of 350. That stock is trading at 364. I did ask Samir to give me his pick on the fundamental side, and he said that you can consider buying Indraprastha Gas, and the reason he suggests is that there is a volume growth at this point, and the LNG price movement in the recent past is giving him hope that the stock will outperform. The stock is up about 2 percentage points as of now.
Okay, and on that note, let's get in our viewer queries. The first one comes from Ankur Bhanot. It's a long-term query. He actually wants a view on two stocks. The first one is Larsen & Toubro, which he has bought at 1,525. There you have it. It's largely around the same levels as his entry point. And the second one is Welspun India, where he's bought Welspun India at 55 rupees per share. He wants a long-term view on both these stocks. Okay, Samir, I'll take this one up with you. How have you placed here?
So L&T, I think he can get out right now. Maybe because the focus right now is more on the services side of the company. And I think manufacturing and the capex side is taking more time even at the private level. So I think get out right now. You can maybe look another 6 months and then take a call on it.
All right.
Okay, let's talk about, I believe there was one more.
Yes, there was Welspun now, since we spoke
I think
about.
Welspun, you can get out as of now as well, because I don't see any debt relief or any kind of cash flow improvement in the company or the group.
Okay, let's pull up Bata India and see where it's currently trading. We've got a view on YouTube, Sunayan Chakraborty, who's looking for a short-term view, short-term technical call on Bata. He's already bought the stock at levels of 1400. The stock is given up just a bit from that level. How do you look at it?
If you take a look at the names like UPL, names like Titan, they have corrected quite significantly over past few trading weeks. I believe Bata is also in that category. It has moved quite a bit without seeing any significant correction. Bata too can correct the way UPL and Titan corrected, so I wouldn't be surprised if it corrects about 5 to 6% or even 7% from current levels. I wouldn't venture at current levels since he's already bought the stock at 1400. My recommendation will be put a stop at 1355. That happens to be today's low. If that is breached in trade today or tomorrow, maybe I would suggest get out of the stock, because then I'm looking at downward targets of 1880 to about 1860, and as far as Bata is concerned, I would be more comfortable getting into the stock at levels of 1880, 1860, not at current levels.
Okay, not at current levels. Currently trending at 1386 rupees per share. But moving on to the next query from Akshat Lalka. He wants a view on Yes Bank. Let's pull up Yes Bank. Let's see. There's been a little bit of recovery of late. Of course, actually, it's gone into the red in the last 15, 20 odd minutes. That said, well, like I said, yesterday was a reasonably good day of trade, but not to forget that it has been under pressure. Samir, your view, what would you tell Akshat to do?
So I think if you have it, hold on to it. See the Q1 numbers and the capital raising. Don't average it out yet. If you see any movement on that, which happens on paper, and you see improvement in Q1 results, which I think is now on 17th. So I think over there you can add a bit.
Okay.
All right. I believe that answers a question of one of our viewers on Facebook as well. I'm just trying to figure out, there aren't many technical queries, but I'm still trying to dredge one up. Subhash has got a question on all cargo logistics that he bought at levels of 130 for 1 year. And he's asking at what point can he average. The stock is trading just under the 100 rupee mark.
So there is some support around 94 to about 95 zone in that vicinity, but I'm not sure if those support levels will hold, because RSI is not indicating any bullish momentum at the moment. Prices again face quite a bit of resistance around 120 to about 115 zone. So don't average now. On the contrary, my recommendation is put a stop at 94 and hold on to the stock. If it breaches 94, I'm looking for a downside level of as low as 80 rupees as far as Alcargo is concerned. So no averaging is advised at current levels. On the flip side, put a stop loss at 94, 95. If that is taken out, you better exit the trade and look for lower levels to get in again.
Okay, all right. Well, moving on, we have Satyajit Sudhir. He wants a long-term view on Ambika Cotton Mills. He says he's willing to hold on for 5 years. Let's bring up Ambika Cotton Mills. Okay, it's not a very liquid stock, but currently placed at around 1034. Do you track this, Samir?
I have seen it once or twice, and I don't feel there's any strategic upside in next 5 years. Because I saw this at almost the same price maybe 9 or 12 months back as well. So, and the business is very simple. They are into the cotton mill, and the cotton prices on the high yield are going down.
Sure.
So I think over there, and even the textile sector is facing a pain. So I don't see any major upside in the next 5 years.
Okay.
We saw Bajaj Finance yesterday take quite the bludgeoning. Its stock is up and about today. Because of the AUM numbers that came in, 11% sequential growth in the first quarter and 40-odd% on a year-on-year basis. Has that impressed you? We've got Mayank Saraf who's asking for a view for the next 3 to 5 years, not just on Bajaj Finance, but on the entire Bajaj group. Which would you pick?
So I think if you're talking about next 3 to 5 years, then you have opportunities at a lower level where you might find a better place to add it. My recommendation right now is to lighten the weight. Totally don't exit the stock. I'm talking about Bajaj Finance right now. Lighten the weight, because the quarter-on-quarter kind of a sequential growth, and when you see such a commentary, it will somewhere impact the company as well.
But the numbers were a little different from the commentary that was given. I understand the commentary was that Q1 will be a little slow.
See what happens, whatever commentary you see, he never said that the Q1 will be slower for him specifically. It's an industry-based view of his. Now, even that said, if the consumer demand is going down, your asset side will reduce. on a quarter-on-quarter. And when you're such a high valuation company, that quarter-on-quarter kind of a tip-off really doesn't go well with investors.
So there's no room for error, basically.
Yeah, because these valuations are really high, and when you have a competitor listing soon enough, then that premium also goes out of you, because even the competitor is of a high pedigree. He's not a small group.
Which company?
SGB
Okay.
Financial, I'm talking about.
Okay, well, let's take a technical view on Federal Bank. We have Harshvardhan who wants a technical view here. Keeping in mind 1 month, that's his horizon. It's currently largely unchanged at 105. Aditya, your view?
So Federal Bank is more or less locked in a range. It fails to breach levels of 110 on the upside. On the downside, 100 to about 102 is the support zone. At 105, probably is decently placed. He can put a stop at 101, 102 and look to go long for targets of 110. Beyond that, I don't see any significant upside in Federal Bank. Probably a 5 to 6 rupee upside, yes, can be seen.
Okay, interestingly, Sameer, these are two sectors, shall we say, that we were speaking about just before we started the program. We've got Abhijit Kamaru, who is looking at Radico Khaitan as an option for the long-term view. Would you pick this, or would you pick what you were talking about earlier?
So I think in this sector, I'll pick United Breweries.
Okay.
Two factors: it's going almost debt-free company, which a lot of these companies are not able to achieve. Secondly, the competition is getting burned by every month, and they're paying higher margins to distributors, which are not sustainable. And UBL is now gaining back market shares. So I think over there, that's really helping them out. And post-elections, it's always better for these alcohol companies on the volume growth basis. So I think UBL is a better place stock.
Okay, well, let's also take a view on VIPPRO. Akshay Mittal says he's into VIPPRO and at around 295 rupees per share, currently trending at 265. What should we do? Aditya, I'm going to come to you on this one, your view here.
So IT stocks are facing some brunt if you take a look at Infosys and for TCS. So VIPPRO is also one of them. It has witnessed a good significant correction yesterday, day before yesterday, on Friday and today. I believe he should look at levels somewhere around 255 to about 260. Those will be good levels to get into the stock. Immediate upside, I don't see beyond 280 to about 275. That will be my immediate upside targets. Honestly, I would not want to get into VIPPRO at current levels or look for a trade in IT space, if at all. I would pick something. It will be Infosys or a TCS.
Okay.
Okay, let's talk about HDFC Bank, and I'm going to choose this. Vivek Kanoje has got 3 picks, but I'm going to speak about HDFC Bank. Some of these counters that have run up, you know, notwithstanding what's happening with the broader market or some of the other names, is this a time to lighten all of them, like you said about Bajaj Finance? Would you move out?
So I agree that they have run up and the consistency performances can sustain these valuations. But if you see HDFC Bank, for me, the biggest turnaround is who's going to run the bank now onwards.
Okay.
Because if Mr. Puri is to retire and RBI doesn't extend that, now the next person who comes in is more important for me rather than anything else in HDFC Bank. So I think, yes, I would lighten the weight right now. And based on that news, I'll keep a tab on that.
But having said that, they have a strong team. I mean, just to name one person, Paresh Suktankar is somebody who seems to be quite capable.
See, it's not about the team being not strong. It's the person who takes on board, and when you have such a long gestation of the previous CEO, that really turns out the dynamics of the next growth end which the bank has to run on.
Sure.
Because the expectations are totally different from who's running today.
And he is asking for the next 15 years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So that's a point which comes into factor.
Okay.
Okay, well, there's one more question for you, Sameer, actually. We have some Saurabh Pathak, and he's bought 1,000 shares of Tata Motors at 580 rupees per share, added another 250 shares at a dip of 10%, and he's done that 4 times. And he's now sitting at a loss of 70% of his capital. His question is, what should he do?
I think you keep a hold on to them. Because if you were convinced to buy at every 10%, the system hasn't changed from where you started buying.
Right.
And if you see China sales, they are getting boosted by all these government stimulus and all. So there is, again, even in Feb, I said June or July, China sales would revive. One is because of the base effect. Second is the boosters are coming much more quicker.
Sure.
So I think keep a hold on to it now. I don't see much further downside to the system because the debt levels, the JLR issues, everything is now somewhere in the price.
Right.
But I don't see a very quick upside to the stock.
Okay.
Just a quick thing. So this is not related to Tata Motors per se, but this is related to what the gentleman did actually,
Correct.
averaging every 10% lower. So what I would like to tell all the viewers also is, it's a good habit to average a stock which is going up because you're still sitting at a profit.
Correct.
So if you would have averaged a stock which is going up 10% every time,
Right.
you would still be sitting at a 70% profit, not at a 70% loss.
Yeah.
If you're averaging a stock which is continuously going downhill,
Yeah.
and you're averaging every time 10% lower, your average cost will always be higher than the current market price, and your
Right.
cost or your cost increases and your loss also increases simultaneously. So what you're doing is not the right way of buying a stock. So
Yeah.
if you can buy a stock, if you know the fundamentals are strong, the trend is very much intact towards the upside, then it's okay, you average the stock. But at the end of the day, you have to take a call whether I should continue averaging the
Right.
10% lower or
Absolutely.
just exit the complete position.
Absolutely. And it's not
In
yeah.
that, sorry, I'm pushing it up.
No, go ahead.
But when you pick a stock for a long term, right, you're not concerned with 1 year or 2 year prices.
Right.
That's where I'm saying.
Right.
The other point is always, which I do, always if you have a derivative stock and you're buying that derivative stock, always look at the options flow. Where if you get a concern from people, you know how the options are laid for this series and all,
Right.
that gives you a good idea of where the flow is going.
Sure.
So it's always not good to ignore the technical part of it and enter the fundamental side of
Okay.
it. Because if I say that I'm going to buy it for next 5 years, then I have to invest for 5 years, get the benefit on the 5th year.
Correct.
What people
Yeah.
try to do is
Yeah.
invest today to get the benefit out of 5 years.
Absolutely.
That really doesn't work in equities from
Right.
my point of view.
Right.
But I think that if you do a study, you will probably find a correlation between social media messaging and stock price. So if you go and see your stock price is up 2%, you feel good. Just
No,
like you
that's
get
a
like on
financial
social
behavior.
media.
So-
but anyway, so the point is that, and what you're saying, both of you are saying make absolute sense. Gaurav Jaggi's got a question for you. Goldiam, I don't know if I'm saying this
I
right.
know.
Goldiam.
We talked about it last week
And
as well.
he's saying that you promised him a view, but you
So
haven't.
I think I exited. Where I couldn't tell him beforehand, but I really didn't see anything which gives me conviction that next 5 years or next 10 years on a long-term basis, it can really prosper in a big way.
Mhm.
So I think it's better to get out of that system.
A marquee investor putting money in is not enough.
See, the marquee investor, how much he's putting in, how much of his portfolio is getting exposed to that depends. He can take that 100% loss
Right.
if it's 3% of his portfolio.
Sure,
Can you do that?
that's an important
So
important point.
that's where when you're trying to copy the portfolios of the marquee investor, you have to take care of that.
Sure. Great.
Okay, all right. Let's move on and take a short-term view on Hindustan Unilever. We have Ujjwal Kumar who wants a view on this one. Let's pull up Hindustan Unilever. It's not really corrected as much, certainly not as much as the rest of the markets. Currently at 1734. Aditya.
I believe there's some correction that is due in the stock, and that will play over 1 or 2 trading sessions. So 1700 on the downside is the next support level that I'm looking at for the stock. If it manages to sustain, get to those levels of 1700, good level to get into the stock around 1700 definitely for targets of 1810 to about 1840 on the upside.
I'm just making sure that I have this right for the Bajaj twins and for Titan. I understand you say to hold off just a little bit, right?
Yeah, I'm saying reduce to a certain extent and wait for the results and keep a momentum on that.
Fantastic. So I think that answers Rinku's question. Coming back to you on Ishan's question on Kaveri Seeds. He's looking for a fundamental view. How do you see the company?
So I see a bit different on what the company says and what the company does.
Okay.
The balance sheets are a little bit of stretched in a way which doesn't see on the debt side but on the receivables and the cash flow. So I think it's better to stay away. If he wants to enter the seed section, I think some agri base is a little wait and watch kind of a sector right now for me.
Okay.
Okay. All right, we have Rajas Doshi who wants a view on Sun Pharma. He hasn't mentioned anything else beyond this. So I'm going to take a technical view here. It's up, it's up 6% today at 389. Aditya, how would you address this?
So there's good support demand zone in the zone of 359 to about 365. Stock has managed to take support around those levels for the last 4 months. So I believe 355 to about 360 should act should act as a good support on the downside. You can look to buy the stock if he's not bought it yet. Put a stop at 355, 360, and look for an upside target of 420 to about 430. That is the maximum you can see. Apart from that, nothing much.
Okay.
We've got another short-term query for you. This one is on Dabur. Rangarajan Balakrishnan is, I believe, his entry price was 456. The stock is currently just above 400. He's asking for a call, hold, average, exit, and his holding period is 90 days.
Okay, so it's a hold. Put a stop at 395. He can get back levels of 425 to about 435 on the upside. Put a stop at 395. If that is taken out, you're out of the trade.
But he's also asking if he should consider alternative options. He shouldn't. He should hold on.
He should hold on to it. Yes.
All right. Another interesting one. Narendra Raman wants a long-term view on persistent systems. Sameer, well, the management has changed on the top. Anything that
So I think the company is good. They have faced the IP revenue issues. Till that time, you don't see that in the revenues and the quarterlies. Don't get into it. There might be certain ups and downs before that gets stabilized.
Okay.
So I think keep a look at it. It's not a bad company.
Yeah.
But at the phase where you're trying to enter, it's a little volatile phase. Let's say in that sense.
Okay, well, the Nifty is currently about 0.2% lower. Yesterday, it saw a major correction. The question really is from Parag on Facebook, will the Nifty break the 10,000 mark on the downside?
Too early to say. I don't think so.
You don't
I don't think so. 11,400 to about 11,370 is a good demand zone. I believe Nifty should take support around those levels and bounce back to levels of 11,800 again. So for me, I don't think so. 10,000 will break immediately. That's too much to ask for. Standing at 11,500.
11,400, you said.
11,400 to about 370 should be the floor. Okay. I believe in this correction.
Okay.
All right. Well, one more stock, REC, which is also under pressure today. We have a question from Rajan Gundal, and he wants to know if he can get into it at current levels. It's dropped very, very sharply today. It's down 13%. Aditya, would you recommend?
Not really,
No.
because look at the volumes. It's in excess of about 1 crore. I've not seen this sort of a volume in last 1 year. Stock has witnessed massive selling on back by volumes. Probably 135 is where I'm looking at immediate support zone.
Yeah.
If that is also taken out, then the stock can slide all the way down to 130 as well. So sitting at 140, I will still not get into the stock.
So we spoke about Tata Motors, right? Because we've got Abhishek Rai who's speaking about Vatek Vabag, and he says he's employed a similar strategy that the other gentleman had employed with regard to buying at every 10% drop. We've spoken about that strategy, and hopefully you can change that going forward. But I'm going to go across to Sameer on this. Vatek Vabag, every budget we come back to the same counter and say that perhaps this year, with the Ganga cleanup project and all of that, is this something, sometime when you say bite the bullet and say no, maybe not?
See, it's not the stock where you want to put a long-term money, because if you see last 5 years, the company has gone from a debt-free to a high-debt company. The receivables have gone up. They're still executing the work. Okay. So I think over there, there's a lot of negative factors going fundamentally wrong with it. So I don't even see any revival, even if they start getting Ganga projects or water conservation projects. I don't see any revival because the payments are getting lagged by the government itself, and these are state governments, which payments like change like every day. So I really don't want to put a hand over it.
Okay, I do have reason to believe that some of the viewers who are putting up queries on our channel are the same person with different names. But yeah, well, we are on to you, just so you know whoever you are. But yes, we do have another query from Gaurav Jaggi, and this one is again, Sameer, for you. It's on Petronet LNG.
Yeah. So I think Petronet LNG is in a sweet spot. It's just giving you the time to buy it into, because they are facing a GAIL pipeline issue at Kochi terminal, which has been capex and commissioned for past, I think, 1.5 years, if I'm not wrong. So that is pending in July or August once that takes off, I think Petronet has a good space to run up.
Okay, I'm trying to make sense of this query here. I'm not really getting a sense of what this means. What does he mean by CGD allotments? Because he's talking about a pipe company.
City gas.
Okay.
City gas distribution.
Thank you so much for that. Don't use abbreviations, guys. I'm horrible at them. So if you want to say something, just say the whole thing. Pipe company with regard to the city gas.
Don't go with the pipe companies if you're looking at that kind of a expansion, because pipe companies, let's say GAIL, is not earning that much as they want to. I think it's better to stick with Indraprastha Gas, as I said, and maybe I might be far-fetching, but maybe next 2 years or 1.5 years, if Adani Gas executes those kind of CGDs which they have won, that will be a real turner, but I would wait for it. I will not enter it in a very big way right now.
Nikunj, I hope that answers your query.
Okay, well, Akshay on YouTube also has a question on Infosys. I reckon this is again on, technical terms, and of course we must remember that Infosys is also announcing earnings a little later on this Friday. Currently at 711, Aditya, how would you trade this?
So 695 is the support zone for Infosys. If it comes down to those levels, probably I'll look to go long, put a very small stop close to about 685, a 10 rupee stop loss, and hope that the stock witnesses levels of 740, 760 again on the upside. Not at current levels. Wait for the stock to come back to levels of 695, then look to go long.
Samir, Nick M wants to know between the two paint majors, he's asking about two, but Asian Paints and Kansai and Nerolac, which would you pick? Not Berger.
So I think at these kind of valuations, I'll prefer Kansai, because industrial OEMs, everyone is getting hurt over there, and Kansai numbers show that even faster. So I think the better valuation Kansai can give you right now rather than Asian Paints.
Okay, well, somebody points out that this has been an epic episode. I thank you for that view. Thank you both, Samir and Aditya, for joining us in this program. It's been fun, Agam.
Yeah, it certainly has. Well, on that note, remember, we're just a tweet, a post, or a call away. So keep your queries coming in. We promise to address all of them through our shows. For all the previous episodes, visit our YouTube channel or website, bloombergqueen.com. And with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Ask PQ. Up next is Power Lunch. Stay tuned in.